Yes. And I want you to notice how rarely I get to say that word without a pile of caveats behind it. Whole grains lowering your risk of colorectal cancer is one of the most solid findings in all of cancer nutrition. And today I want to walk you through why the evidence is so strong, what whole grains are actually doing inside you, and how to get more of them without turning your kitchen upside down. If you've been with me for a while, you know I spend most of my time on this channel gently talking people down from headlines. Most nutrition and cancer questions live in a gray zone. This one doesn't. The World Cancer Research Fund, one of the most careful and conservative bodies reviewing this science, rates the evidence that whole grains lower colorectal cancer risk as convincing. That is their highest tier, and very few foods ever earn it. When a panel that cautious uses its strongest word, I pay attention, and I think you should too. The evidence behind that rating isn't one flashy study. It's large pooled analyses combining data from many studies, and they point in one clear direction. More whole grains, less colorectal cancer. In those analyses, each additional daily serving is associated with a meaningfully lower risk. Not a rounding error, a real consistent signal that shows up again and again. In nutrition research, that kind of consistency is rare, and it's exactly what you want to see before you change how you eat. So what's actually going on? The answer comes down to two parts of the grain the refining strips away, the bran and the germ. When wheat becomes white flour, or brown rice becomes white rice, those outer layers are removed, and with them goes most of what makes a grain protective. The bran and germ carry the fiber, and that fiber is food for your gut microbiome. If you've watched my fiber video, this will sound familiar, because it's the same story playing out. Your gut bacteria ferment that fiber and produce short-chain fatty acids, compounds that help keep the cells lining your colon healthy. Fiber also speeds transit, meaning waste moves through your colon faster, so the lining spends less time in contact with anything potentially harmful. And the bran and germ bring minerals and phenolic compounds along for the ride, a whole package of protection that a refined grain simply doesn't have. Notice that none of this requires anything exotic, and honestly, I think that's why whole grains get ignored. They're cheap, they're plain, and nobody is selling them to you with dramatic claims. A bag of oats doesn't have a marketing budget, but cheap and unglamorous is not the same as ineffective. In this case, it's the boring option that carries the convincing rating. So here's how I'd put this to work, and it's genuinely simple. You don't need to add anything to your life. You mostly need to swap. Where you'd have a refined grain, reach for the whole version instead. Oats at breakfast instead of a refined cereal. Brown rice where you'd normally have white. Whole wheat bread for your sandwich. Whole wheat pasta under your usual sauce. Barley is lovely in soups and stews, and quinoa works anywhere rice does. None of these will win a beauty contest, and all of them are easy on your grocery bill. If a full swap feels like too much at once, start with one meal, or mix half and half, brown rice with white, regular pasta with whole wheat. Your palate adjusts faster than you'd expect, and every additional serving is moving you in the right direction. Now, my usual honesty. No single food prevents cancer outright, and eating whole grains is not a guarantee. Risk reduction is about probabilities, not promises. But if you're asking me where the evidence is strong enough to act on, this is one of those places. Not a supplement, not a superfood powder, just the intact grain doing quiet, well-documented work in your colon every day. So yes, whole grains are one of the few confident yeses I get to give you. The evidence is strong, the mechanism makes sense, and the food itself is sitting on the bottom shelf of every grocery store, costing almost nothing. Start with one swap this week. That's it. Simple, boring, and backed by the best evidence we have.